stop the bleeding. We have a historic immigration crisis because Kamala Harris started and said that she wanted to undo all of Donald Trump's border policies.
Donald Trump had 4 years. He had 4 years to do this. And he promised you, America, how easy it would be. I'll build you a big, beautiful wall, and Mexico will pay for it. Less than 2% of that wall got built, and Mexico didn't pay a dime.
For the first and probably the last time, the vice presidential candidates went head-to-head in a roughly 90-minute debate hosted by CBS News last night. Senator J.D. Vance and Governor Tim Walz shared their visions for the future of the country and also defended their records.
And while they disagree on the path forward, there were a lot of moments last night when they actually agreed on the issues at stake. Jared Hill live in New York City this morning for us.
So, Jared, the tone of the debate was actually very cordial, and the candidates also managed to find some common ground. What was the reaction overnight?
Yeah, Steph and Rake, I mean, this was interesting, right? You had these two candidates who, as you mentioned, repeatedly on the stage said, I agree with my opponent. What we did see, though, was, and this is something that is kind of rare at this point in political debates, is a lot of talk about policy, really deep dives into some of the differences that they share in how they would approach some of the issues that are at the top of minds for a lot of voters. As you were playing some sound bites there with immigration, they agreed that there were some things that need to be improved with how the United States does with immigration, but they said that they thought that some of the impacts on Americans were slightly different. So again, it'll be interesting to see how all of this plays out with voters as they prepare to head to the polls over the next couple of weeks.
You know, we also saw some moments of contention, and at one point CBS had to cut their mics. Jared, what were some of the biggest issues they disagreed on?
So one of those was actually in relation to the conversation around immigration, and specifically around some of the allegations that Senator J.D. Vance has thrown in regards to Haitian migrants in Ohio. And with that, talking about the impact that those migrants are having on housing in that state as well as in other states around the country. That was one of the moments where we saw some of the biggest contention. Also, one was where there was talk about the 2020 election, where Senator J.D. Vance at that time wouldn't necessarily say that former President Trump lost the 2020 election, something that we have seen Tim Walz kind of push back against, saying that he didn't answer the question, and that was notable as well. But again, as you mentioned, this was an hour and a half of two people having really substantive conversations about the issues.
All right, Jared, we spoke with you just 24 hours ago and we asked about the fact-checking during the debate. At one point, CBS News had a QR code up for people to scan. How did that go?
Yeah, I mean, so there were a couple of dozen nearly fact-checkers within CBS who were steadily watching the debate and going back through some of the facts to make sure that those were accurate. A really good resource, especially with something that was as detailed as this debate was, for any viewers and really prospective voters to take a look at some of the nuances that were discussed on the debate stage, because a lot of what we saw, and this is according to the fact checkers for CBS News, is that there weren't many totally blatant statements or completely true statements. There was a lot of gray area, and understanding some of that can potentially help folks as they're making decisions before they head to the polls.
Yeah, if anything, the civility on the national stage was appreciated. Jared Hill, live in New York City for us this morning. Thank you.
Yep.
We'll have more on the debate later for you this morning, but for now, you can find our full coverage, including a fact-check story from our verified team on KHOU.com.